Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily, and you are very welcome. Yes, it's another Doctor Who Daily video that nobody watches, but I'm still making them because I love Doctor Who. So today we're talking about a couple of things. I want to talk about the potential of a Doctor Who movie, but first, this is in the Radio Times, and I thought, hey, let's read this out. So, Doctor Who, Revolution of the Daleks star drops hints about challenging and interesting festive special. So, Nick Briggs, who pretty much does everything Doctor Who does, lots of voices and parts, vocal parts on Doctor Who. He's also the genius behind Big Finish Doctor Who as well. And of course, they've sent him out to tease because there's a lot of negativity surrounding Doctor Who right now. And any bit of positivity must be grabbed like the most wholesome of sandwiches. Dalek voice artist Nicholas Briggs gives us a brief tease about what we can expect from Jodie Whittaker's next adventure. And now the man behind the pernicious alien Pepper Potts has dropped a few hints about what we can expect from the next episode, with Nicholas Briggs, who has provided the voice of the Daleks since 2005, suggesting that the episode which he filmed last year will have some interesting surprises for viewers at home. I'm having to be very cagey, Briggs told RadioTimes.com, noting that his role in the new special was more extensive than his last Dalek appearance in 2019's special Resolution, or the Cybermen and Judoon voices he performed in Doctor Who's most recent series. It's already been filmed and I was on set for it. It certainly wasn't a single Dalek, and there were quite a few interesting challenges and some interesting location work as well. Ooh, that is interesting. While Briggs wasn't giving much away, his answers could hint that we'll be in for some different types of Dalek with different voices in the special. And he also hinted that the special's title, which seems to hint at some uprising within Dalek society, may not be all that it seems, reflecting on some unusual story twists within the episode. All I can tell you is when the caption came up at the end of the last episode saying it was Revolution of the Daleks, that was news to me. Well, that's interesting, because when I read it, it just has a code number on it, so I didn't know what it was called, he told us. But it is a very opposite title. It fits perfectly, but not in the way that you'd think. I can see why they've called it that. And Briggs' work on Revolution of the Daleks isn't done yet, with the actor expecting to return to perform additional dialogue recording soon. I'm doing some ADR this week, actually, he said, but that's standard for the Daleks. They use as much as they can from the set, but sometimes when they do the editing on Doctor Who, and this has been right since the beginning in 2005, they realise that they want to sort of tweak the story. They get actors in to record other lines over the shoulder, but the Daleks are perfect for it because you can make them say anything later on. If there's anything you need to clarify, the Daleks are renowned for stating the bleeding obvious, aren't they? He laughed. You can just have a Dalek come and say, this is now happening. I look forward to seeing what they've got for me in ADR, he added. Sadly, fans will have to wait even longer to see what's in store, but if they really can't stand the months until their next Dalek fix, they can always sample Briggs' most recent performance as the alien baddies, which is a part of Escape Hunt UK's new escape from a Dalek Awakens. Yeah, thanks for plugging saying we have to pay for. Very clever. I've done the voice for the Dalek that's in the escape room. It's my involvement, Briggs told RadioTimes.com. It's a spaceship that has various problems, and there's a Dalek in it as well, which is one of the biggest problems. You have to solve all these rather clever puzzles to make sure there's enough oxygen and feed the space plankton and things like that in order to save everyone on the ship and escape without being shot by a Dalek. And who knows, if there really is a Dalek revolution on the way, maybe we'll be hearing a lot more Briggs' dulcet tones in the Doctor Who universe. To coin a phrase, you've got to exterminate to accumulate. So, Revolution of the Daleks. Now, he said that he's doing ADR because, and this has been happening since 2005, there's certain aspects of the story they want to change. But then he would say that, wouldn't he? Basically, it seems to me that reshoots are going ahead, like I told you. Yes, something is changing within the Doctor Who universe, and very, very interesting there. It's always interesting to read people's thoughts in this industry. They say one thing, which means something else. Everything these people say is absolute code. I love Nick Briggs. And do you know what? I'd love to go to that escape room. I live in Cyprus, so I can't do that. A lot of people have tweeted me about it and said it's really, 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 really awesome. So what I gauge from this, there is definitely Revolution of the Daleks. What is it called again? Revolution of the Daleks. Yeah, that's what it's called. So it's a revolution. It's a revolution. So what does that mean? It could mean that some Daleks are going to overthrow others. Basically, from what he's saying is the rumour about a Dalek civil war is happening here. So imagine a Dalek civil war on Earth, because let's face it, Chibnall doesn't really like doing other planets unless he's trying to throw a message at us, right? So it does look like that's what he's attempted to do. But I am excited about this Christmas special. I'm excited that John Barrowman is reprising his role as Captain Jack, and also to find out how the Doctor finally escaped from the Jadoon, because she has to escape, right? It's not exactly a spoiler. She can't spend the whole bloody episode in a Jadoon prison, although she did spend nearly half the episode, nearly half asleep in the Matrix in the finale. But we had Sacha Dhawan to pick up the slack, which was really awesome as well. I do love the finale and I love the reveal, and I've told you that before. Now, I saw a video earlier. I didn't watch all of it. I forgot the person's name, but he was debating if a Doctor Who movie ever happened. Now, there's a lot of Doctor Who fans, because Doctor Who fans have these stringent rules about everything. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't change the canon. You can't do this. There's so many can'ts. It's ridiculous. You've got to feel sorry for anyone running the show. Yes, even Chris Chibnall. Now, so Doctor Who fans, especially the classic ones, believe that a Doctor Who movie shouldn't happen unless it's using the then Doctor in the TV show. But for me, if I was in charge of a Doctor Who franchise and it was as successful as it was back when RTD was running it, I would want a movie franchise and a TV franchise. And maybe you can cross them together. Because guess what? Whatever Doctor you are, you can travel in your own past and future, which makes crossovers really exciting. And this is why there's so many things you could do with Doctor Who in a movie. Now, we've already had a Doctor Who movie. Now, the one with Paul McGann was supposed to be a pilot, but it didn't happen. It didn't go to series. I think it should have done, but it never. I love it. It's one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who ever. I think Paul, and I thought the film was really good, considering a lot of the people working on it weren't really Doctor Who fans and didn't know diddly squat about it. They watched a few Tom Baker episodes and worked out he eats jelly babies, but I still think they did a really, really good job about it. I like a job with it, and I like the characters, and I love Paul's Doctor as well. But it wasn't a proper, we're not talking about a release, a cinematic release. And I think with Doctor Who now and the way it's made and done and the money put into it, I think a Doctor Who movie could work. I think it could make a lot of money. Now, Russell T Davies once said he would never make a Doctor Who movie with the BBC. Now, he never really clarified those comments, but that is a very aggressive thing to say, especially when he was still working with them on Doctor Who. And I mean, if you look at Russell T Davies, he did leave. That final year he did. They decided not to do a series. Now, the official claim was that David Tennant was doing Shakespeare in theatre. And so that seemed logical. He can't do one, so we're going to do these specials. No big deal. But for me, that was Russell. He didn't want to write another year of another 13 episodes. For me, it seems he was done and he was gone. But for me, this is a big problem before we carry on talking about the movie situation, because you've created this beautiful franchise, Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane. You've created a franchise very similar to what Feige's done with the MCU. Then you go, See you later. I'm done. I'm going to do other things. It seems to me there must have been some kind of falling out with the BBC, because for him to leave what he built up is incredible, incredibly illogical, incredibly irresponsible. He made Doctor Who something special, and then he just left them picked up. And the franchise just, because ultimately Torchwood went really quickly. We could have no Sarah Jane with the tragic death of our Liz Sladen as well. And all Stephen Moffat did was try and give us class, and enough said about that, the better. So for me, what Russell T Davies achieved was beautiful, but I think he did betray the fans, and he did betray what he built up by just leaving, and that's just my personal opinion. Now, could we have a string of Doctor Who movies? Would they work? Well. Yes, I would love a string of Doctor Who movies. Now, how would you do it? Would that showrunner be involved? Look, I believe I wouldn't have the showrunner, especially this one, writing a Doctor Who movie. I think you could consult with him or her. I think that could work. For me, if you want to put anyone in charge of a string of Doctor Who movies, for me, it would have to be Peter Jackson from the 6 Lord of the Rings movie. He done 3 Hobbit movies, 3 Lord of the Rings movie. The man's a genius, and he loves Doctor Who. He wants to write a Doctor Who episode, and he hasn't done it yet. For me, if you want someone to write and direct a trilogy of Doctor Who movies, it would be Peter Jackson. And I mean, you could do so many different things with Doctor Who movies. You could have a Gallifrey-centric movie where it's the early days of the Doctor, when he or she is still on Gallifrey. You can have him trapped on another planet. Listen, you could do whatever you want. You could do a Doctor Who origin story, which fans are opposed to. We pretty much now had a Doctor Who origin story, and it's very, very interesting as well. I know a lot of you hate it, but I think it's full of bags of potential, and that's the one thing Chibnall has done that I actually agree with. So I absolutely think that a Doctor Who movie trilogy would be amazing, and Peter Jackson would be perfect. And who would do the music? Murray Gold. Murray Gold. Simple as that. Murray Gold is one of the top musicians in the world, one of the top composers in the world, and for him not to be involved in Doctor Who now, and I say this on every video, is an absolute disgrace. I was watching another video the other day, actually, and someone compared the Russell T Davies era to Sir Alex Ferguson's dominance of the Premier League when he was managing Manchester United. And I think it is very, very similar. And what's happened to Manchester United and how far they've fallen is very similar to what's happened to Doctor Who since RTD left. I was just talking about that. Once he left, it slowly took a downturn in the ratings. Now, am I saying that I don't like what Stephen Moffat did? No. I don't prefer it to what Russell did, but I think he did a particularly good job. Mostly, but there were issues because he was even more self-indulgent than RTD was. RTD was self-indulgent, but the difference between RTD being self-indulgent and Stephen Moffat, RTD would always put the character first rather than his wants. But in terms, it's been a slow kind of downturn, and exactly what's happened with Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson's gone. So I did find that very interesting. Comments down below. Do you see a comparable situation with what's happened with Doctor Who since RTD's left, with what happened to Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson's left? And I am a Manchester United supporter. Mock me as much as you want. I don't come from Manchester, and I don't care. Right. Yesterday, I was reading an article about the Andrew Cartnell. Is it? I can't say his last name properly. I can't remember. Anyway, let's call it the Cartnell Master Plan. Most of you know what that is. It was his plan to create in a season the 7th Doctor, the Sylvester McCoy Doctor, and bring about a situation where it's revealed that his Doctor is this important God-like figure. One of the things I think is funny with this whole Timeless Child reveal, people saying the Doctor shouldn't be important, the Doctor shouldn't be special. Something else we've already discussed on my videos is that as soon as the Doctor and the Master leave Gallifrey and start doing their own thing, they become more important and more unique than the other Time Lords. The other Time Lords just stand there, watching the whole universe pass them by. But the Doctor goes from place to place with his TARDIS, and he interferes. From the moment he started doing that, it made him important. In fact, it made him the most important Time Lord ever, right? So I'm not having that argument. To me, it has no credence or no narrative or any justification. But it is very interesting with this Cartnell master plan. Now, you've got to see it from, forgot his name already, Chris Chibnall. You've got to see it from Chris Chibnall's point of view. We're all fans of Doctor Who, right? I'm sure there's something that they planned on doing that you know about, that I know about, or something that they did that you feel they did wrong. And if you became showrunner, you would do something about it. We've seen Moffat do it. We've seen Davies do it. And now Chris Chibnall is doing it. He believes wholeheartedly that the Cartnell master plan should have been implemented and the BBC should never stopped it. He liked the idea. So now he has the power as showrunner to do it. It's something any of us would do with something we felt was done wrong when we were just fans and viewers. And he's doing the same thing. So yesterday I had a little theory on here and I spoke about it. And I said that Tech Tae-yoon is probably the Doctor. Now, I've had loads of theories on here, but I think that's the one. That's the one I'm going with. It makes perfect sense. It makes sense why the Doctor would run away from Gallifrey and you know, this promise of being the Doctor, the good man or the good woman or whatever box you want to put the Doctor in, right? So Tech Tae-yoon is the Doctor. She used the Master, who is the Timeless Child, and out of guilt runs away, gets on the TARDIS, somehow has the ability to actually, blank his his. We're talking about the Hartnell Doctor here, right? So the Hartnell Doctor knows what he's done. He knows what he did when he was Tech Tae-yoon. He created Time Lord Society by using the Timeless Child, using the Doctor. Sorry, got that totally wrong. I'll start again. Right, so Tech Tae-yoon found the Timeless Child, used the Timeless Child for its immortal regeneration energy and created Time Lord Society. But later on, Tech Tae-yoon realises what she did is wrong. So Tech Tae-yoon regenerates and ultimately, after a few other regenerations, right, becomes William Hartnell's Doctor, right? Hartnell calls himself the Doctor. He blanks his brain because he feels so bad and he decides to travel the world and become a better person, right? That makes a lot of sense because I don't think we're finished here. I don't think we're finished with this Timeless Child story. And I think if you use your brains, there's a lot more to come. As I've already said in other videos as well, the BBC, when they kind of responded to all the complaints, said this is going to develop. There's more to tell. Keep watching. And I think that's the point. So it does make sense to me that Tech Tae-yoon is actually the Doctor and the Timeless Child is the Master, and the Doctor blanked his own memories because of the guilt of what he did to the Master when he was Tech Tae-yoon. So if this comes to be true, that's very interesting because Tech Tae-yoon would be a pre-Hartnell Doctor still, something that a lot of the fans hate. But the Doctor started off as a bad person, but then goes out there and tries to make right. You know, he tries to do something good after doing something bad. So it's actually a very, very interesting origin story. And the Doctor's not the first character to start off as a morally corrupt person, a morally questionable person, then go out there and redeem themselves. I think that would be very, very interesting, and that would really, really excite me. But again, comment down below. Would you like to see a Doctor Who movie? And in fact, even better, let me know what kind of Doctor Who movie you would make. Do you think Peter Jackson could write and direct a great trilogy of films? I obviously do. Lots of issues going on right now in the Doctor Who universe. Rumours of season 13 being delayed because of the thing that we can't talk about. Not happening. It's going to carry on. All this will be over in a short while. Hold on to your hats. Most of you can survive it because ultimately It's a highly contagious spreadable flu, but if you're fit already, most of us are, 80% of us are, mild symptoms, and we'll be fine. So don't worry about that. Season 13 is happening. Comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back on Monday with even more Doctor Who Daily, even though nobody's watching.